Welcome to Gatekeeper Systems Inc., where cutting-edge intelligent video and data solutions meets community safety. A champion for safer transportation for all, from school buses to first responders. With a market cap around $40 million, Gatekeeper's Q2 2023 reported 212% year-over-year growth, $9.7 million of revenue, and over 45% gross margins. This has been met with an enthusiastic market response. Recent public safety incidents underscore the importance of their technologies. Gatekeeper, with its AI, video analytics, thermal cameras, and mobile data collectors, is spearheading intelligent transportation systems across diverse environments and deterring incidents of crime while increasing safety. Their innovative solutions, like their proprietary automated lane enforcement and AI-driven health check, to name just a few, prioritize efficiency and safety while providing streams of recurring revenues. Let's cut the small talk and jump straight into the main event and learn more about this rare, profitable, small-cap Canadian listed stock.
Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Talk Stocks podcast. Today we're lucky enough to have Doug Dyment, founder and CEO for Gatekeeper Systems, with us today. Hey, Doug, how you doing?
Doing well. Appreciate being with you, Kier.
Hey, thank you. I know you're a busy guy with lots going on, so I appreciate your time. Why don't we sort of just jump right into it, if you don't mind? Why don't you, maybe you could start by telling us a little bit about your background, who you are, how you got started.
Yeah, my background, I got involved in the safety and security business back in, I guess it was back in 1992. I created a product for a company that protected kids or increased safety on school buses. And we built that company out into the general security market. It ended up getting bought by Honeywell for about $72 million. So I was the first individual to put video on a school bus to increase safety and by keeping the driver's eyes really on the road in front of them and focused on driving the bus. So and video and mobile applications has really increased substantially since then. The problems are still the same, but the technology has certainly changed over the years. And so my background has really been involved in the security industry for quite a few years. And I started Gatekeeper, I guess, as a small company, and really started it in an apartment, to be honest with you. And a few years later, our technology was being used by the United States Air Force on the AC-130 gunships, recording long-range sensor systems. And we had Boeing Aerospace as a customer. We had Lockheed Martin. So Gatekeeper's got it started, even though it started off in the school bus market, we've got a lot of experience with military contracts and doing business with special operations and USAF. And then since then, over the years, we've really come to getting into our more of a focus in the transit side of things and the K-12 market. So we've got a technology backbone that is that allows us to really install in any vehicle, but at the moment we're really solely focused on the transportation side with transit and school bus, and we do a few other things, but those are two of the markets that we're laser focused on. And by the way, that focus is really one of the reasons that we're finding success. Companies our size, I feel, have to stay in their lanes and stay focused and not dilute our resources too much. And there's plenty of growth opportunity in where we're at, right? So you're starting to see it with the performance of our second quarter, which we'll talk a little bit as we move forward in the interview.
Hey, great. Well, that's a good sort of overview. Thanks for covering some of that. I find there's always a great story about how companies were first founded. So you also have that with starting the company and having some military sort of contracts right away while you're out of an apartment. That's great. You kind of touched on it in terms of your focus now in terms of K-12 sort of school bus kind of transportation. Could you give us a little bit of an overview in terms of that business, where you're focused, what markets, how big, how many sort of buses, and a bit more about your product?
Sure. So our focus over the last few years has been, of course, in the North American market. And if you look at the school bus side of things, in North America, there's roughly around 550,000 yellow school buses, and so it's a good size market. One could argue it's probably one of the largest mobile markets as it relates to number of vehicles. And then on the transit side of things, you've got well over 100,000 big buses in that market, and you've got the train side as well. And so Gatekeeper is really kind of laser focused, as I said earlier, on those two sectors. And then we've got a bit of a paradigm shift happening with electric vehicles. So likely over the next maybe 10 or 15 years, you're going to see a fresh new palette, if you will, of school buses as the U.S. and Canada moves towards replacing this diesel technology with electric vehicles. So, and what we're finding is that the need for technology is only growing, and the need to get access to video, as an example, or other forms of data on these vehicles, becomes more and more important in order to not only protect the kids or protect passengers from various issues that are going on, in and around the buses, or but also to help with operational efficiencies. So video is, while in the past it was used really for security and safety, it's now being used for not only that, but also for operational efficiencies, as I say. So there's a lot of reasons why video is an important piece of information or evidence, if you will, and that's only fueling the potential size of the market. So Gatekeeper, we've seen as part of our platform as a service. That's our business model. It's called Platform as a Service, or PaaS. And really the strategy there is to widen our product line so that when we start doing business with a customer, we get our mobile data collector installed on that bus. We start collecting data. And by the way, we invest in wireless inside that mobile data collector so that when the market is ready to move to wireless in a bigger way, we have the ability to connect to that device through our web-based applications and start to monetize the data. That's the whole plan here, is to become a big data company. And we're doing that by getting our customers, somewhat pregnant, if you will, give them a free software application, and that gets them using the system. And by the way, the systems could include internal camera systems. Years ago, there would be likely 1 or 2 cameras per bus. Now we're seeing upwards of 6 to 8 cameras on the inside of buses. And then you've got your 360-degree systems outside the bus. There's the stop arm cameras, plus all of the wireless infrastructure. So with all of that being said, we've seen increase in revenue in some cases from, say, on average years ago of $1,500 a bus on up to $8,000 a bus. So and then we're just starting with our recurring revenue side of our business. So the market hasn't really figured it out yet, and so I think there's, even though we've seen a nice little increase in our currency and our share price lately, I feel like we still got a long way to go there, because I just feel like we're undervalued at the moment. A lot of that really has to do with the condition of the capital markets and the tech sector at the moment. But Gatekeeper's got a real solid business model, and we've got a widening product line that is, when you look at the revenue per vehicle, or you look at the revenue per train, it's really growing. So as an example, I mentioned that we've seen in some cases our revenue on school buses go from $1,500 to $8,000 a bus. Well, on the train side or in the transit side, our revenue per bus is anywhere from say 5 to 8,000, all the way up to $30,000 or $40,000 for some of our train systems, and that's a real nice mix, with our product line. Because when you look at a company like Gatekeeper, who has developed relationships with over 3,500 customers, most of which in the K-12 side of things, and then you look at how we're adding on tier one transit agencies such as SEPTA, that has turned into a wonderful opportunity for us. It's just it's a real solid company for investors to invest in, because we've tried to de-risk the business by expanding reasonably into some of these other sectors. That gives us a multiple hits on revenue, if you will. Like we're not just K-12 and we got a wide, like I say, we got a wide product line, and we're not just transit. And by the way, there's companies out there that only do business in the rubber tire side. So that's all they'll do. They'll provide solutions for the rubber tire side, and they don't deal on the train side. Well, Gatekeeper does both, right? So again, we have a nice marketplace with some variety and a widening product line that has a host of revenue pillars to it.
Well, that sounds good. Well, I'm sure you've seen some of the issues that are going on with like the New York subway system and safety and things like that. I'm sure if you're not doing business with them already, you should be. Sounds like they don't have a lot of video even installed on trains, and with some of the increasing crime and violence, there's even a lack of evidence unless people have their cell phones out. So I certainly think that probably there's a growing need for your sort of solutions.
You're absolutely right. There is, and typically video has been around for several years, but what you're starting to see is that the aging equipment it's almost like the market is starting over again, and that happens. The technology just gets old. There's new technology that's coming out. If you look at what Gatekeeper's doing, we're developing AI, out at the edge to be able to determine various things that happen. Because when you're dealing with higher resolution images, and you're in a mobile environment, it's really quite difficult to send all that information across the wireless network. So what we want to do is we want to make smarter decisions out at the edge and use AI to do that, and then create alarms with video bundles that then send that back over the network, and our customers are able to make decisions faster to deploy resources more effectively. So technology is changing. We're getting more intelligent, like I say, and that's driving some of the revenue in these markets for sure.
Excellent. You talked a little bit about some recurring revenue and getting into some big data or data play. I guess the AI side would be part of that. Could you just touch on that a little bit more? What sort of data you kind of record or track?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said earlier, when we invest in our mobile data collectors, and we've got about 45,000 of these mobile data collectors out in operation now, right? And the trend in the K-12 market is just starting to move to wireless. So that's probably one of the more exciting things that is happening in the K-12 side, because we can then start to layer on our recurring revenue services, which include our enterprise software. What that does is that allows our customers to stream live video. There's a few other things that they can do with it as well. And then on top of that, we're able to offer up what we call Health Check. And Health Check is it's a unique cloud-based application that really has Gatekeeper monitoring the health of all of our customer systems that are buying into the program, right? And the worst thing that can happen in a mobile environment is that, and keep in mind that in most cases, our customers they don't have a bank of monitors that they're looking at video all day. If there's an incident, they go get it, right? And they typically pull the hard drive, bring it back to the desktop, plug it in, use our free software application to go find the incident, and then they'll share that out with either principals or other managers, or in some cases, parents. That's how they manage the video. Once they start moving to wireless connectivity and the wireless infrastructure, now they can actually, connect to live video or recorded video inside their bus from their desktop. They don't have to be running out to the vehicles to get that information that they need. So if they're not looking at at video all day long, sometimes there can be vandalism to the system, and there can be, there might be a problem camera for whatever reason, and they go to get the video and the system's not working, right? Or the system thinks it's working and somebody's put petroleum jelly or something over a camera lens so they can't see what actually happened. So Gatekeeper's health check system, we built AI into it, and I believe we're the only company in the world that actually has this kind of capability where if the video stream is interrupted in any way with petroleum jelly or what have you, some sort of material that's put on the camera to block its view, we actually create an alarm. Our AI detects that and then sends an alarm back with video. And our health check system is really there to deploy forces, maintenance people fast to fix the problem. Excuse me. And so our health check system is basically it's a cloud-based application that is totally automated, and we provide that from Gatekeeper's tech team, and that's part of our hosted services bundle that we charge per vehicle per month. And so that's just the start of our recurring revenue model. We've got a number of product offerings that are going to be coming as the market moves towards more of wireless infrastructure. So that's where I like that model, because we're not giving away equipment at the front end and then subscription models. We're actually selling solutions first. And as the market evolves, like I say, to wireless, we come in and we start to layer on our SaaS piece of the business, which, I'm projecting over the next 3 years or so, or 3 or 4 or 5 years, that we will have probably, 40-50% of our business will be more SaaS. And then 50% will be in the neighborhood of these solutions, right? Where you've got everything from the cameras, the GPS, the wireless infrastructure, all of that will be part of the total solution sale.
Well, that sounds excellent. So how big are these sort of market segments? You touched on it earlier in the interview that you can do more than sort of just school buses and buses, and you can do public transportation and trains and subways and things like that. So how big are these sort of market segments that you operate in, and what sort of blue sky could there be for investors?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So if you look at just the replacement market, let's talk K-12 for a sec, right? So if you got 550,000 buses out there, and all of those systems are going to be replaced over time, and let's just say that the average sale is 5,000 a bus. Well, that gets you up to, I haven't done the math on that, but I think that's over 2 million or 2 billion, right? So that particular segment it's significant, right? And that doesn't include any of the recurring revenue services that we offer up. So if you want to do some math, if you took $30 a bus per month, and for our hosted service solution, and that doesn't include any new products new hosted service solutions that we're going to be offering here in the future, but just at $30 a bus per month, and you multiply that by, let's say we're successful at converting 50% of the current 47,000 mobile data collectors that are out there. You can see you start getting up to $10-20 million in recurring revenue, depending on how much we're actually getting per bus per month. So that's our plan, is to continue to get those mobile data collectors out in the market, and we're doing that at a healthy rate. like I say, we currently have about 47,000 of them out there, and
Wow.
and so it gives investors a bit of an idea as to the size of the potential recurring revenue that could be coming on top of the total solutions revenue that comes when we sell cameras, mobile data collector, all the wiring harnesses, the wireless infrastructure, GPS, all of that.
Well, that's great. Maybe we can switch gears here just for a minute and talk a bit more about the financial side of the business, cap table and stuff like that. So could you just sort of maybe touch on the current share structure, how many shares are outstanding and what your current market cap is?
Yeah, so investors can get all this information from our website, gatekeeper-systems.com. Under the investors tab there's a investors presentation that updates every quarter. One of the last slides, they can look at that, but we're just a little over 90 million shares outstanding. And I believe we're probably around 13, maybe 15% is owned by insiders. The majority of that is the founder, myself. Yeah, so as far as that's the cap table. As far as the financial structure in the business, we just recently put out our quarter two. We did just under 10 million in revenue and $2 million in net income, thereabouts. We showed 212% year-over-year growth. What investors should pay attention to as well is the TTM on the revenue. We're just under 30 million in TTM. That's an important number, and we're also just over 4 million in TTM net profit. So we've got working capital at the end of the Q2 of just over 12 million, and we built this business on solid fundamentals. Our banking relationship we have with TD Bank is rock solid. They give us our percentage. We've got an $8 million facility that is made up of both LC and a line for one of our key suppliers, and then that rate is prime plus 0.75%. And if you've ever dealt with Canadian banks, you've got to be built on rock solid fundamentals in order to get that kind of a rate. So we've got that side of it taken care of, and we were the second quarter was really an interesting quarter. We had one project that fell in the second quarter, and we were able to deliver on that really in less than 60 days. So it's just an example of how we can increase the revenue and without really necessarily increasing the operating cost, and therefore you can start to see the potential of those dollars trickling down to the bottom line, which is quite positive. So we also have partnerships with key groups out there that can help out with large project financing. The sales funnel has grown significantly. We've got multiple projects now that are well over 10 million. And if some of these things start to hit, you're going to see your investors are going to see a different looking company from a revenue standpoint. And so I'm optimistic that what we've done in Southeast Pennsylvania Transit Authority is that's a good example of what we're capable of doing. And we've driven a lot of business there, and just recently Alstom was awarded a LRV project, and Gatekeeper Systems is spec'd, and Alstom represents a wonderful opportunity for Gatekeeper to work with their engineering team to integrate our solution into their train architecture with the plan to become an Alstom partner and not only work on new train projects, but also go after the existing train projects that are already out there, and and then push out through their global distribution system. So those are kind of some of the things that we're working on, and we're still in we're actually in detailed talks with Alstom at the moment, but there's some really good things that are happening, and you're going to see you're likely going to see a news release here shortly with relating to our recurring revenue and how we're looking on planning on executing on that, because there's some trends that are going on here, Kier, that are just starting to evolve, and Gatekeeper is we are executing on our operational plan to make sure that we're ready for for this hosted services side of our business.
Hey, excellent. Well, thanks for touching on some of that. Could you speak to? Do you have any institutional shareholders yet?
We had one institutional shareholder in out of Europe, and but at the moment, I'm talking to institutions. I'm talking to analysts. There's no doubt that is starting to heat up. My overall plan was to build a company based on rock solid fundamentals that institutions would be attracted to. And with our financial performance and the type of company we are,
yeah,
I'm definitely getting more interest now. And
well,
I think it's only a matter
not to cut you off, but you got on my radar screen with your financials. It's pretty rare that a TSXV company is profitable. And one that hasn't done a change of business every 5 or 10 years. And you guys have been very consistent in your business. And obviously, with the market cycle that we're in, people are starting to look at profitability rather than just, can they fund at higher prices next time? It's nice to see that there's strong fundamentals and growing high quality fundamentals that you guys have. So congrats on that. That's an accomplishment all on its own.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Kira. You're absolutely right. There's definitely a shift. At least the people that I'm talking to at the institution level, there's definitely a shift to looking at companies that are performing. This whole idea of growth at all costs is that is not the case anymore, right? So we have to grow at a reasonable rate, and which we're doing, and still throw as much to the bottom line as we can, because I want to keep this share structure that we got, our cap structure, intact. And last thing we want to be doing is diluting shares when to fund top line growth while the bottom line is weak, right? That's not the type of company we are. We have to find ways to self-finance ourselves without diluting shares. That's my overall goal. And by the way, as the founder of the business, I am completely aligned with all shareholders when it comes to dilution, right? So
yeah,
that's
well, that's good to hear. Great to hear. I wasn't going to ask the question, but it sounds like you sort of already answered it for us with being aligned on that. So you were mentioning you're starting to speak to some analysts. Do you have any formal analyst coverage as of yet?
No, we don't. We're not covered by any analysts at the moment, and I think it's safe to say that we would have been if the tech market wouldn't have corrected as drastically as it did. But there are, like I say, I am talking to more and more institutions, and I think it's only a matter of time. We're on watch lists, but I think it's only a matter of time before we get a full, full research reports coming out.
Hey, excellent. Well, Doug, I'm sure you're a very busy person right now with all the things that are going on and having a bit more of a spotlight on the company. It looks like your share volumes have been increasing. Your stock price is up quite a bit here recently. So congrats on that. What's a typical day sort of look like for you now?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, it's mostly driving the operations, to be honest with you. Like we're showing some significant growth, so we're expanding in certain areas, and we're hiring more people. we are I suppose there's more, at least just lately here, there's been more work on the capital market side of things that has kept me a little bit busy. But it's really just driving this business and keeping my finger to the pulse on everything that's going on. And you have to do that if you're strong on the operations side. And Gatekeeper's got we've got a lot of things going on in our R&D side of things. The size of the projects that we work on, some that we're priming, others that we're partnering. So it's there's never a dull moment here at Gatekeeper.
Well, that's great. That's good to hear. I can tell from us speaking a little bit before this, you definitely are very passionate about what you're doing and a true expert. And so nice to hear that you've got your finger on the pulse and stay very involved with the business. These businesses all need a great leader. So good on you. Maybe just while we wrap up, we're right at that 30-minute mark, and I don't really like to go too much over. I appreciate your time. What would be some possible sort of investment catalysts that might be coming down the pipe for Gatekeeper over the next 6 to 12 months?
Investment catalysts, as far as when you say that?
Yeah, sorry? Nothing. We don't need to get into specifics, but just what should be some of the things that investors might be looking for? Would it be continued improving sort of financials? Would it be any sort of like possible M&A, more reoccurring revenue, new product launches? Anything?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if I was an investor, I'd be paying attention to the performance of the company. Frankly, with the size of the sales funnel that we have and the nature of some of these projects, there's certain things in the sales funnel that we just can't control. And that's the timing of landing of some of these projects. So sometimes the quarters can be a little bit lumpy, but us moving to more recurring revenue and hosted services, the whole strategy there. And by the way, that's been going on. That strategy has been was implemented years ago when we made the investment into our devices to make sure that we could connect to them, over the web when the market moves to wireless. So if I was investors, I'd pay attention to that. How's the recurring revenue? How is that evolving? You're probably not going to see me put too many news releases out as it relates to recurring revenue contracts, because I like to keep our competitors keep them guessing. But I will say that we're already landing contracts and delivering those hosted services, and so that's really exciting. So that's a catalyst. Other things are key drivers will be just some of the size of the projects that we're working on, and because this business has changed. It's interesting. I was talking to one of our employees who, quite frankly, has been with me for almost 20 years when we were a private company, and she was telling me that the size of the projects now in just the K-12 market, as an example, it's nothing compared to what it was, several years ago. So it's just kind of the nature of the market as it relates to our business strategy. And what I mean by that is that the platform as a service is really a strategy to increase. Increase the revenue per bus, and at a time when you got a fresh new pallet of buses coming, right? With electric. So that's just an interesting timing, and yeah. So I think we're going to start. You're likely going to see our revenue, climb to a whole new level from where we were on an annual basis. And so if you look at the growth at Gatekeeper, probably 4 years ago, I guess we were maybe 8 million or just under 8 million in revenue. And then we went to 13.7, and then we climbed up to 20. COVID hit, we bounced back down a little bit to around 18 million. And then last year we were back up to 20. And, and this year, if you looked at our second quarter performance, we're already, I'm not going to talk about the back order, but we are already ahead of where we were, last year by a significant amount, right? And the sales funnel has just grown, yeah, it's going to be a really interesting ride here over the next 3 years or so. And so if I was an investor, I would be aligning myself with the CEO and the founder of Gatekeeper and just buy the stock and put it aside, just set it aside and just let this company grow. That's what I say to investors. And because if you look at my strategy, right, like we need to be, as a company, we're looking out 10 years. Like, what is Gatekeeper going to look like 10, 15 years from now, right? And the decisions that we make today on our technology, particularly AI side of things, and how we actually manage data, those decisions are going to affect us, that far out, right? So we want to be able to see what things. I need to be able to see around corners. That's what I like to do, so we can make those smart decisions today. And I think those are the types of companies that institutions want, right? I was talking to a guy on an institution desk, and they typically like to get involved with companies and hang in there for 10 years, So that's what my vision is as a company, is to really take Gatekeeper into the future as a data company. And that's happening right now. That is happening right now with some of these recurring revenue contracts that we're bringing in, and it's only going to get stronger. So those are some of the catalysts I'd look for if I was an investor. And
great. Well, I think that probably pretty much sums it up. That would be a great place to end. Thank you again for your time, and I'll let you get back to your sort of busy schedule. But Doug, I appreciate it. Hopefully we can have you on here again, maybe in the next quarter, and we can talk about your sort of continued sort of growth trajectory.
Okay, very good. It was good being with you, Keir. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for your time. Have a good one, Doug.
All right.
Bye-bye.